Don't worry, it's a magic trick after all, so it's perfectly safe. Run away! Oh my god. Hey, you're not getting off that easy. Or easily. They get along so well, don't they? It reminds me of the good old days. You, me and Pearly? Oh, and Detective Gumshoe. Can't forget him. Hey! God, he hasn't been mentioned in so many games. We had all kinds of fun at the crime scenes back then, remember? Leaving me to do all the serious investigating, as I recall. Court will soon be back in session, Mr. Wright. Right, thank you. Sir Larry's the next witness, right? Can't wait to see what happens. Sadly, I can already imagine it. Unfortunately. Courtroom number 6. Okay. Court will now reconvene. Nick, Edgy. The two of you are going to hang me out to dry, aren't you? No, not the both of us. Just Mr. Wright. Nick, how could you? I don't really think he did it, of course, but I gotta use whatever leads I can. Mr. Buds, there's a possibility you moved the lantern that had the dead body in it. So if you want to clear yourself of any suspicion, all you have to do is testify. Now then, your testimony please, witness. Well, we didn't actually ask for his name and occupation, for once. Nick is a jerk first. Nick, you big fat stinking jerk. How can you doubt your best bud? We've known each other since elementary school. Well, get this, pal. Our friendship's over. What the fuck was that? Wow. God, I really don't like that pose. It just looks... She looks cross-eyed. Well, go ahead, Mr. Wright. He's all yours. Why me? You're the one who called him to the stand, so he's your responsibility. Thanks, old chum. Can't any of you show me a little respect? Even just a shred? You may cross-examine the witness, Mr. Wright. I would if there were any testimony to cross-examine. But there ain't. There's nothing. Cross-examination. Nick is a jerkface. Nick, you big fat stinking jerk. I'll just press everything. Come on, Larry. Can't you please just give me something real to work with? Don't think I don't know about your tricks. If I say something careless, you're gonna shove some evidence at me with a loud objection and a super smug look on your face. Yeah, well, that is my job. And if I get found guilty, how are you gonna take responsibility for what you've done? Why should I take responsibility for just doing my job? You heartless jerk. Don't you have any compassion for me? Oh my god. How can you doubt your best bud? We've known each other since elementary school. I don't remember being best buds. I'm sorry, Mr. Buds. Mr. Butts. But if it wasn't Miss Wyatt that ended the hold with that card, then you're the most likely suspect. Nick, are you seriously doubting the innocence of your old childhood friend? Well, technically, yes. But it isn't personal, I assure you. Ooh, a true friend would believe in me no matter what. Can't you see my tears? Don't they mean anything to you? Nick! You don't really think you can cry your way out of this, do you? Okay, fine. In that case... Forget this, pal. Our friendship's over. Oh no. Larry, listen to me. Shut up. I'm not talking to you anymore. This is getting us nowhere. Ooh. Come off it, Larry. If you don't quit fooling around and start testifying, Miss Wyatt will be found guilty. For real? If no new information comes out of this cross-examination, then yes, Mr. Butts, for real. Not that I would have a problem with that myself. Larry, just tell us the truth already. Did you or didn't you go into the hold and move a lantern up to the reception hall? I never moved any bull lantern, I tell ya. Bull lantern? What? Did I say something weird? You told me that you didn't attend the wedding reception. Ah. Can you believe they told me only family and relatives could attend? They wouldn't even let me into the reception hall. Yeah. So what? Then that's odd. No one in this courtroom ever mentioned the sex of the lantern that was moved. So how could you know it was a bull lantern? You didn't have to actually go to the reception to know that. Anyone can tell there were 2 Pekka bulls by looking at the Flying Chapel's pamphlet. All I can tell right now is there is a strong scent of bull in the air in here. Please add that last statement to your testimony, Mr. Butts. Does he still have the other ones? Ah, there we go. Anyone could tell there were 2 Pekka bulls by looking at the Flying Chapel's pamphlet, but there isn't. There's a bull and a... and I said a bull in a book. Objection! You're wrong. I want you to take a look at this, Mr. Butts. Because unfortunately for you, the pamphlet clearly shows a Pekka cow and a Pekka bull in their example diagram of the reception hall. Huh? But on that day, instead of putting a Pekka cow and Pekka bull out for the bride and groom, there were 2 male Pekka bulls on display. Yet somehow you knew there were 2 Pekka bulls in the reception hall that day. There's only one way you'd know something like that, Larry. It was you who moved the Pekka bull to the reception hall, wasn't it? No. Larry, you didn't. Mr. Butts, did you move the lantern containing the victim's body to the reception hall? That's what it looks like. What? Oh dear. Hold it. Oh. Wait, Nick. You don't think I'm the murderer, do you? Maybe you and Mr. Gloomsbury were fighting over Miss Watts and you ended up killing him. Maya, not you too. Look, I did sneak into the reception, but that's as far as I went. As it went. You know me, I wouldn't hurt a fly. You snuck into the reception. Yeah, sure. But some of the sprocket men caught and locked me in one of the cabins. It was pretty awful, actually. That's when I made that drawing of the pterodactyl I showed you, Nick. Ixnay on the aerodactyl pte, Larry. Mr. Wright, not even you would take this farce that far, would you? We are talking about Larry. What do I do? Do I accuse Larry of being the true culprit? No. No, you're right, Mr. Edgeworth. Mr. Butts didn't have a reason to kill Mr. Gloomsbury. He might have had an imaginary reason to kill an imaginary reason to kill Soren Sprocket, sure, but not Mr. Gloomsbury. After all, he did steal Mr. Sprocket's bride and try to elope with her. Just because I tried to steal somebody's bride don't make me a murderer. I believe you, Larry. And I don't think you killed anybody either. You would never do anything like that. Nick, old buddy, old pal. I knew you'd come through for me. Funny that, considering your sworn testimony just now. That we were through. Sheesh. Mr. Butts, it's time you told this court the whole truth. Understood? Moving the lantern. It's just like Nick said, I'm the one who moved the lantern. Boom bum. I was poking around the reception hall before the main event and saw a lantern was broken. There was a note on it that said exchange with the one in the hold, Ellen. So I decided to do Ellie a favour. Idiot. What a dummy. So, you switched the lanterns before the reception, did you? Then that means the victim really was killed before the reception. Ah, there we go. The lantern in which the victim's body was found, Larry wheeled it from the hold to the reception hall before the reception began. It would appear that Mr. Butts completely fell for the defendant's scheme. Scheme? What scheme? This note from the defendant, exchanged with the one in the hold, Ellen. Mr. Butts moved the lantern with the body in it up to the reception hall because of this note. And thus, he has become a suspect in Mr. Gloomsbury's murder. That second lantern did feel pretty heavy, but I never would have thought there was a dead body in it. What was a note like that doing on a lantern in the first place? Wait. You got it all wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. I left that note for myself. It was simply a reminder because I can be very forgetful. You're not supposed to be here. What a sorry excuse, Miss Wyatt. The prosecution contends that this note shows one facet of the defendant's murderous plan. And you, Mr. Butts, you played right into Miss Wyatt's hand. No way, Edgy, I don't believe it. Jesus. Do you still really believe Miss Wyatt to be the culprit, Mr. Edgeworth? Of course. My stance on the matter remains unchanged. If you think I'm wrong, then prove it with your cross-examination. Gladly. Yeah! Very well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Woo! Moving the lantern. Just like Nick said, I'm the one who moved the lantern. Why didn't you tell us that sooner? Because I knew you guys were going to be suspicious of me, that's why. We're suspicious of you now because you tried to hide it. My thoughts exactly. Well, now I've told you. Happy? So how about let me go? Not a chance. No, not yet. We need you to stick around to sort a few things out. Fine. He's like a child. I was poking around the reception hall before the main event and saw a lantern was broken. The lantern you swapped out was a female Pegamoo. A Pega cow, right? Yeah, I guess. Why did you replace a female lantern with a male one? Because I was too busy trying not to get caught. I didn't have time to check for little details like that. If you didn't want to get caught, you could have just left well enough alone, you know? Whatever. Anyway, when I took a look at the broken lantern, I saw a note. There was a note on it that said, exchange with the one in the hold, Ellen. That note wasn't addressed to you, was it? Well, I guess not, but how could I let my dear sweet Ellie do all that hard physical labour on her own? It's precisely that thought process that constantly gets you in trouble, Larry. Besides, it was my big chance to show her how much I cared about her. My god. So I decided to do Ellie a favour. Nobody saw you the whole time while you were switching the lanterns. Nope. I didn't get caught. Not that time, anyway. Not that time? Yeah, when I tried to sneak into the reception hall the first time, I didn't have as much luck. Those sprocket guys spotted and nabbed me. All of my words are failing me right now. Pretty exciting, don't you think? Larry, you need help. And then they locked me up in one of the cabins. Nick, what are you asking about stuff like this for anyway? Shouldn't be trying to prove Ellie's innocence. Well, is that statement of his important to the case? Yes. Mr. Butt's trying to crash the reception and subsequently getting locked up in a cabin. I believe these might be important facts in this case, Your Honour. Very well. Mr. Butts, please add that statement to your testimony. I tried to sneak into the reception hall, but I got caught and locked up in a cabin. Wait, in that case, wait, what? Yeah, the first time that happened, so he wouldn't have been able to move it, would he? Wait, the first? I'm confused. Yeah, I'm going off of the assumption that the first time, but the reception happened twice, so the second time he was able to move the lantern. I think. I don't know. I'll go for it.
Objection!
That's wrong. Would you care to tell this court what percent— wait. The music didn't stop, that's all. The witness's statement is inconsistent with this piece of evidence. That just seems— yeah, it doesn't seem correct. Why, of course, I'm 100— well, never mind. So yeah, that isn't right. Would you accept 50%? Your Honor? Might I recommend that the defense be penalised with 100% severity? Oh, I intend to, Mr. Edgeworth. You can be sure of that. Oh wait, I should have pressed. Yeah, why would I present? But then again, I still think it's the lantern. Yeah, because if he was locked up in a cabin, how was he able to push— like, how was he able to move the lantern? I'm just getting confused. So you got locked up, then what happened? I broke out. Oh, never mind. Then I started looking for Ellie and wandered into the reception hall again. That's when I saw the broken lantern, and replaced it. Even after they caught you and locked you up, you still went looking for Miss Wyatt. But hold on a minute. What is it, Nick? Maya, doesn't something seem weird to you? Larry is saying he replaced the lantern after he broke out of the cabin. That's right. Oh wait. Huh? Yeah, when he was in the cabin, they went back in time. You're right. Doesn't make much sense, does it? Mr. Wright, have you found an inconsistency in the witness's statement? Yes, I believe so, Your Honor. Mr. Butts moved the lantern after he broke out of the cabin, but that contradicts with this. Now it would contradict with that. Yeah. Wheeled it from the hall to the reception before the reception began. So is that now correct? Is that? Yes, it's the broken lantern, Your Honor. Mr. Butts, what you're saying doesn't make any sense at all. What? Why not? You swapped the lanterns before the reception began, right? Yeah, that's what I said, isn't it? But you also just said that you swapped the lanterns after you got locked up in a cabin for trying to sneak into the reception. In other words, you're saying you swapped the lanterns both before the reception and after the reception took place. That certainly doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense, does it? Mr. Butts, did you swap the lanterns before or after the reception? Which was it, before or after? There's a world of difference between the two. Well, Mr. Butts? I guess I can't expect guys like you to understand. In a nutshell, it was both before and after the reception. Because they went back in time. What? I tried to sneak into the first reception and got locked up. The first reception? Uh-oh, I don't like where this is going. Then, through the power of Ellie's pendant, time got rewound and we went back to the time before the reception. It was after that when I replaced the lantern. So it was both before the reception and after the reception. Get it? We went back in time before the reception. So of course, the reception would take place one more time after that, right? That's why what I said makes perfect sense. Mr. Wright, what in the world is the witness talking about? Has he developed some sort of intellectual ailment I'm not aware of since I saw him last? Well... None of the sprockets seem to remember the time skip, but I do. And Ellie remembers it too. I think the power of our love for each other made that miracle happen. Mr. Wright, I'm sorry, but... What the fuck is he on about? Could you please translate this message gibberish so the rest of us can understand? So now I have to be the one to explain about the whole time travel thing. Go on, Nick, I know you can do it. Oh dear. Looks like you don't have much choice, Nick. To heck with it. I can't lose any more of my dignity today anyway. The defendant, Miss Ellen Wyatt, has told the defense the following strange story. She said that after the reception ended, she was attacked by Mr. Gloomsbury. She claims that as she was being assaulted, she made a wish upon her pendant. Please take me back to that blissful moment. In doing so... She did. Time apparently rewound itself to just before the reception began. It what? I know it's hard to believe, but think about it this way. Through the power of the pendant, both Ellen Wyatt and Larry Butts experienced time travel. What? It does seem a bit far-fetched. Reversion. This is no time for jokes. What absolute rubbish. Mr. Wright, I've heard my fair share of your nonsense over the years. But this takes the cake. Have you thoroughly lost your mind? But this is simply the conclusion I came to. Using that logic ability you love so much. What? The truth of the matter is, the future president of Sprocket Aviation, Soren Sprocket, has been researching time machines. So what if a time machine has already been successfully created? And what if that's one of Sprocket Aviation's top secret inventions? A time machine? Yeah, I even saw something while we were time travelling. I saw a pterodactyl flying through the sky. Maybe the airship was set to travel through time for their honeymoon trip. What? A pterodactyl? You can't possibly have any evidence to back up your ridiculous time travel story. Well, as I thought. In any case, I now have the evidence to prove that you're no more intelligent than Larry. Whoa, whoa. Not so fast now, Edgy. I'm not the same old Larry you used to know. Oh? You want evidence? I've got your evidence right here. This is a photo I secretly took of the first reception. What? What? Oh, wait, I was waiting for the gallery to break out with a what? Larry, I can't believe you. Well, anyway, good job. If we compare the photos of the first and second receptions, we can find a difference. Then we'll be able to prove that the reception was held twice. But do you really think such a difference exists? Yes, Your Honor. I just need some time to find it for you. This is preposterous. Very well. Please show the court what's different then. Wait, this is proof positive that the voiding reception was took twice. Oh, there it is. It's the first thing I looked at was the flowers. They're red. Please direct your attention to Miss Wyatt's bouquet of flowers. In photo one of her... Wait. Oh, in the photo one of her in-laws took, the defendant is holding a yellow bouquet. But in the photo Mr. Butts took, she is holding a red bouquet. You're right. That's impossible. What does this mean? It means that the defendant really did experience 2 wedding receptions. And she did that when she travelled back through time. What? Nick, you did it. You proved Ellen's time travel story to be true. Yeah, I can hardly believe it myself. It's just as Ellen said, the reception was held twice. This turns every assumption we've based this trial on upside down. Of course you would object. I refuse to accept such a ludicrous argument. It is pure fiction under the guise of pseudoscience at best. There is simply no such thing as time travel. I know it's hard, but can't you suspend your disbelief for 1 nanosecond, Edgeworth? I bet sci-fi movies push all your buttons the wrong way, don't they, Mr. Edgeworth? I can totally picture you yelling "that'd never happen" every 5 seconds at the screen. Maybe you should stay away from movie dates altogether. That's neither here nor there. This is real life we're talking about. But the proof is clearly shown in the 2 photographs. That's right, Mr. Edgeworth. No matter how Okay. Fine. I'll entertain your absurd delusion. If only to demolish it before your very eyes. What? Let's start with this then, shall we? There is one thing your time travel theory fails to explain. And that is the memories of the other guests there. The defendant and Larry remember the reception occurring twice. But no member of the Sprocket family has ever mentioned such a thing. That's because the time machine is classified technology. Okay. I'm not done, you bird brain. Bird brain? As I was saying, if the entire family had been sworn to secrecy, then why hadn't they sworn the woman who was marrying into the family to secrecy too? That's a good point. Honestly, all it takes is a little common sense, Mr. Wright. Even still. How do we know that the trip through time did not really occur? There is proof in the photos that it did. And besides, if time travel doesn't exist, well, I'd be a little disappointed, frankly. I was hoping to go back to the days of my youth. You mustn't allow yourself to be taken in by Mr. Wright's whimsical tales, Your Honor. I've read about it in various literature, you see. And they all say that time travel is just not logically feasible. Maybe our argument was just a little too nonsensical, Nick. Well, in that case, why don't we put common sense to the test? Excuse me? The wedding reception was held twice. The photos are proof of that. But it wasn't because of time travel. It's simply because the reception had actually been held twice. Isn't that the most reasonable way to interpret the situation? Would you care to elaborate, Mr. Wright? If time travel doesn't exist, then there's only one way to make sense of what happened. Somebody must have orchestrated this strange phenomenon, and that somebody is... everyone. What if all the guests at the reception conspired together? I mean, it was mostly the Sprocket family, and none of them really seemed to like Ellen. To hold the reception twice and keep quiet about it. What? For what purpose would they conspire to do such a thing? Well, is that Pierce? A brilliant deduction defense. Fuck me, I'm good. I can tell that you are not a renowned lawyer for nothing. I must say, I underestimated you. How so, Mr. Nicody? You have managed to name each event precisely as they happened. You have revealed it all to the light of day. Then that means... it was us. We orchestrated the whole thing. Yes, the reception was held twice. But not because of time travel, no. We simply held it a second time. What? Why? Why would you do such a thing? I get the thing, she probably... I'm guessing she blacked out. Wait. Oh. Okay. Never mind. To make it as though the murder Miss Ellen committed never happened. Master Soren figured that if Miss Ellen, who'd killed Gloomsbury after the first reception, experienced a reception one more time, she would think it was all a dream. It was he who ordered us to make it happen. However, only a few, myself included, know of Miss Ellen's crime. Are you saying most of the guests attended 2 receptions without knowing why? Indeed. They needed no reason. Master Soren told them to do it, and do it they did. That is the sprocket where? Then who hid the body in the lantern? We did. But we did not anticipate the petals finding their way in, nor the actions of Mr. Butts. And that's how you intended to cover the whole situation up. There is just one thing everyone here has wrong. The real scene of the murder was not the hold, it was the Vista deck. What? Then Miss Wyatt's recollection of the events must be correct. I admit we tried to cover this incident up, but the fact that Miss Ellen killed Gloomsbury is undeniable. This is quite a turn of events. Oh my god, it's been nearly 3 hours. Shit. Oh, that was Edgeworth. And so it appears we have arrived at the truth at last. Now. Please do feel free to travel back in time, Mr. Wright. An attempt to do this trial over again. Go on. Let's not get hasty, Edgeworth. I bet you can't do it. I bet I can't either. Your Honour, we will have to hold a separate trial for the cover-up conspiracy later. But as far as this case goes, I believe we are ready for your ruling. Just before the defendant lost consciousness during her attack, she said she saw someone strike the victim. It's possible that this third party is the true culprit. You still want us to believe the defendant's words? Perhaps you've lost more than your touch during your time abroad. During your time abroad. This third person nonsense is nothing but rubbish and you know it. Well, we haven't explored it. So how do we know? But by the same token, how can we trust those who conspired and lied to fool this court of law? For all we know, they might still be hiding something. You never know when to quit, do you? No, calm down, both of you. In any case, there isn't enough trustworthy information yet for me to render a verdict. I suggest we continue the trial after both sides have investigated the matter further. Very well, Your Honour. Phew, that was close. Mr. Nicody? As for you and your cohort's attempts to cover up the crime, your case will be brought to a separate trial following the resolution of this current one. Understood, Your Honour. Well then, this concludes today's trial. Court is adjourned. Alrighty. There it is. Oh my god. So I got through half of the case in 3 hours. Just short of 3 hours, but I did it. And so, that is going to be the end of this session. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you have enjoyed, and until next time, take care.